So today's Tuesday, another week, another ward round. I've been here for weeks and I was told by an independent which I guess like a mental health practitioner, I'm not sure what his role is, that they were thinking of 3 weeks for me. So let's hope I get to be reunited with my son as soon as possible, for his sake, for my sake, and so we can prepare for him starting school in September. I finished Woodbrook earlier this morning. I woke up at 3. I've not been able to sleep properly since I've been in the hospital, so I haven't really had a proper night's sleep, like a decent night's sleep, for around 2 months. I'm really tired. I don't feel tired. I feel able to go about, what I need to do and how I need to get through each day. Obviously, I'm quite sleep deprived. Excuse me. And just really hoping and praying I can return to my own bed, my own home, and our normal lives together, me and my sons. I'm also hoping that I can have this new diagnosis overturned, as it was kind of, what's the word? It was decided upon, I guess you could say, like by the psychiatrist, based off of the reports of other psychiatrists who've had my diagnosis incorrect or have assumed that the previous diagnosis of schizophrenia was accurate, and a couple of psychiatrists who have, maybe one or two, who have observed me acting in a way they considered manic. However, I've not really suffered from mania at any point, and not that I'm aware of anyway. I've been distressed in the hospital. I don't think that, really constitutes having mania as something I suffer from. And that's how the schizoaffective disorder was diagnosed, as opposed to the schizophrenia diagnosis. I'd really just rather they told me there was nothing wrong with me. I'm not going to argue for that too much though whilst I'm in hospital. I'm mostly just going to focus primarily on leaving, being discharged, as I put it. I've completed Woodbrook by David Thomson. I would give it a 4.5 stars. The best thing about it for me, I like the way it was written, but the best thing about it for me was learning quite a bit more about Irish history, and I'd like to revisit it at some point, just go through, the pure history chapters, and kind of remember what I learned, as I'm not really obtaining information as I should be at the moment. I remember loving, the kind of overarching message of how the poor in Irish who were Catholic really were mistreated by colonists and starved. I knew a little bit about the potato famine already, as I'd written an essay on that subject for my master's degree. So, hello. It was nice to have some more insight through reading that book, the autobiography. Did I say I would give it 4.5, I think, out of 5. It took me a long time to read, partly due to circumstances, and the fact that I couldn't really concentrate too well whilst I've been here on reading or anything other than, the welfare of my child and wanting to go home. However, I did really enjoy this book. I found it, what's the word, it was edifying and fun, and a good way to learn about, people and humans and the world and history, etc. Like you experience from reading all good books, all quality like literature, etc. So I would thoroughly recommend it, especially if you are Irish or have an interest in the history of Ireland. As for the love story between David and Phoebe, I mean, I did find it, moving and I guess you could say romantic, or I don't know. It's very melancholy, but to a large extent, it wasn't a happy book, let's say. I don't want to give too much away about the plot and the ending. However, it wasn't a happily ever after. They got married and everything was fine. It was a bit different to that. I really loved it. So I'm not going to start another book until I get home. I think I can't find one here that I like the look of, other than maybe, if I have to stay, I might start on a Shakespeare play. They have Twelfth Night and Much Ado About Nothing. I mean, it might be worth picking one of those up if I have to stay another week or so. However, I'm not really in the mood for reading until I get home. I don't know how I'll occupy my time if I have to stay longer and I can't go home. But at home, I want to complete The Mass Explained to Children by Marie Montessori and The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Tolstoy, the little short book that I started a few months ago before I was sectioned. Those are the first things that I want to focus on. And I also have a new book called The Girl with the Louding Voice. I can't remember who it's by, I think an African female writer or African diaspora writer. There's also The Ballerina of Auschwitz. I want to read at some point as well. And also, of course, that big Steinbeck book, The Grapes of Wrath, that I would love to finish soon. Or start and finish. But yeah, my priority is to finish the Montessori and the Tolstoy short story when I return home. Please pray for me and my son, and I will update you as soon as I know anything more. I want to have hope and trust in Jesus and trust in God to soften the hearts and change the hearts of any staff here who don't believe that I'm, a harmless and normal person, and that I need to be diagnosed and on medication. I just don't think that's, what I want to say. It's hard because of my previous experiences with the system being so distrustful of me and not listening to me and treating me so poorly. He softened the heart of, who was it? Pharaoh, to let Moses and his people leave Egypt, and he can change the heart of anybody. So I really hope he can. Show mercy and help me people to show mercy on my son and myself, so that we can go home and be happy as we were before. and we can heal from what we've been through in terms of the separation. I really hope you're doing very well, and sorry I'm a bit quiet and subdued. I guess it's just, yeah, it's really sad what we've been through. I mean, I realize other people in life have it even harder than us, and you know, it's not an easy life, and it's not a fair life, and it seems like people who aren't necessarily good and don't necessarily love God fare well in this life, and those of us who do just have to look forward to the hereafter, and it does seem a little bit sad because this life could be really good. I just hope, we can enjoy ourselves once more, and, thank God for kind of rescuing us and coming to our aid, because God is, so good, and I just hope His will isn't for us to suffer longer. I mean, if it's for His, if it's for the sake of His will and my will for me and for my son, then of course I want that as well. It's just selfishly or not selfishly or on a human kind of level, I just want to go home. Thank you.